Hello and welcome to the old Fliers. Recently I uploaded a Vickers Vimy Flies again after 75 years. This story tells how Lang Kidby and Peter McMillan built a replica Vickers Vimy which they then flew in 1994 from London to Darwin, replicating the Smith brothers' historical flight 75 years earlier. In a week, this video had over 90,000 hits and many comments. Comments such as my wrong pronunciation of the word Vimy or Vimy. Vickers named their Vimy in honour of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, the April 1970 engagement on French soil between 5 divisions of Canadian-British forces and 3 divisions of the Imperial German Army. This was for them the Australian equivalent of Gallipoli. David Corhi, an aviation researcher, said that there is more to this story. The Vimy was designed to meet a Royal Air Force requirement for a night bomber with long endurance so that it could reach targets deep within Germany during World War I. The war had grown into a terrible stalemate. Reaching behind the trenches into Germany would shorten the war. Could an aircraft be designed that would be capable of effective attacks in low light when enemy flak gunners were at an obvious disadvantage? The FB-27, a large twin-engine biplane bomber, was designed by Vickers to meet this RAF requirement. The RAF liked what they saw and commissioned 3 completed prototypes in August of 1917. The de Havilland Amiens and Handley Page V-1500 were developed simultaneously. Construction of the Vimy proceeded quickly. The initial prototype was readied for its first flight by December of that year. This design was evaluated with a whole slew of power plant options. The Hispano-Suiza 200 horsepower engines were chosen. Later, more powerful Sunbeam Maori, Fiat and Rolls-Royce Eagle engines were used. The RAF went ahead and ordered 776 FB-27A Vimy Mark IIs. Only 3 had been built by October 1918. A month later, World War I ended with the signing of an armistice. The RAF took delivery of their Vimys across 11 squadrons by July 1919. The Vimy, or Vimy, pronounce it as you will, was of a conventional design for the period, sporting long span wings comprising of an upper and lower assembly. The 2 wings were joined by heavy parallel struts and cabling, while the engines were held outboard of the fuselage in suspended nacelles. Each engine powered a 4-bladed wooden propeller. The fuselage was typical of World War I design and consisted of a slab-sided affair with a curved front end and tapered rear. The crew were housed in open cockpits, a forward and rear gunnery cockpit, as well as a separate cockpit for the 2 pilots. Pilot Lang Kidby said that the noise from the engines and incessant pressure waves from the propellers so close by played havoc with them. After a 10-hour flight, you felt as if you had survived a fight with Muhammad Ali, he said. This plane was easy to land, but a dog to fly. The empennage was capped by a complicated wing arrangement integrating an upper and lower horizontal span across a pair of vertical tail fins. The undercarriage was fixed in place with a pair of 2-wheeled main legs supporting the bulk of the mass when at rest. There was a simple tail skid arrangement and an anti-tipping structure under the nose. This aircraft could carry 900 kilos of bombs. It was the backbone of the British heavy bomber force for many years following World War I. The arrival of the twin-engine Vickers Virginia heavy biplane bomber in 1924 hastened the now outdated Vimy replacement in 1933. 124 Virginias were built and served the RAF until 1941. The last Vimys were utilised as targets for the training of ground-based searchlight personnel. It was in the private sector that the Vimy clearly made a name for itself. The Vimy was the aircraft of choice for long-distance records of that time, such as in 1919 John Alcock and Arthur Brown flew a non-stop crossing of the Atlantic. Ross and Keith Smith flew from England to Australia to claim a £10,000 prize offered by the Australian government. The success of the Vimy in the civilian market prompted production of a civilianised variant known as the Vimy Commercial. The Vimy Commercial had a bulbous, streamlined fuselage lined with porthole windows. The remainder of the design stayed largely faithful to the original design. Power was served through two Rolls-Royce Eagle 8 series piston engines. China purchased approximately 100 Vimys, though not all were delivered due to a lack of payment. Those aircraft were used in the second Zhili-Fengtian War of 1924. Sorry about the pronunciation. The remaining Vimys were destroyed during the Japanese occupation of China in World War II. Thank you for watching. Comments always welcome. Like and subscribe to promote new stories.